cool thing. If you're brand new on this call, awesome, welcome. I think some folks got invited as guests. If I look at the list here, most of you are not brand new, which is kind of cool. Di, welcome to the call. Fantastic. Let's jump in. Look, I wanted to chat tonight really about that thing you've probably heard Brian Marsh talk about a lot of times before. Certainly, it's something that I talk a lot about with my clients in the coaching that I do. And that is really the vision that you've got for this business. So, my love, are you pushing record or am I pushing record?
I've pushed it.
Are you sure? Oh, it is. I can see the button flashing. Where would we be without Jess Fozzard helping us out in the background? It's amazing how clever she is. And if I talk about, your vision for what it is you want out of this business, I think sometimes we can get caught up in the nitty gritty. And the nitty gritty is, I spoke to this customer and how do I respond to this PM? And this customer didn't get their order properly, or they want to choose, but now they don't want them and they want just the fruit and the veg capsules, and get caught up in my Facebook post working, or only 5 people liked it and they didn't like it, and so forth. And I think they're all valid questions. Those of you who know my coaching work that have come from my coaching background, great. Those of you who don't, let me explain something to you about this model I've got called big picture and small picture. Small picture is important. It matters. It matters what your 30-day goal is. It matters what you're doing this week. It matters what you're doing today. One of the reasons why in March, our team and the whole team freestyle itself grew so well is because we had this beautiful thing going on where we did March Blitz, and for 20 minutes every day, we were very focused. Short-term goal, 20 minutes, send out 5 PMs. 20 minutes, follow up on 5 conversations. So that's great. Short-term is very important. When we do training like this, and often people ask questions, I love my wife because she's repeating word for word what Jess is asking me in the same dialogue box, which is kind of cool. It's great. I love that about women. They're amazing. It's when we do small training and do things about scripts and languages and reading reports and answering questions and PMing and posting. They're all great questions, but I just think it's important for all of us to stop and just make sure that we've got our eye on the bigger prize. And we need to be clear about what that bigger prize is. And whether that's something you're looking at, it's a year from now. I know myself and Corinne have got a very clear goal that we set at the start of the year about where we wanted our check to be. And I don't know why we say check, because it's not a check, it's a deposit into your account. But where we wanted that number to be and what we wanted that number to be by December of 2018. I knew what I wanted the check to be at the end of 12 months. We were 1 month off, so I don't mind being at month 13 from month 12. I was 1 month off, for about half a month off actually. And I know what my 5-year vision is. So I've got great clarity on what I want my numbers to be in terms of team size and check each month. And I've got that 1-year vision as well. And I know where it fits into my bigger plan. So my challenge for all of you is to maybe just put your eyes up a little bit and get off your Facebook posts. And I know it's the end of the month right now, and get off the short-term goals and just really take some time to reflect. And maybe tonight, chat about as a small group, what do you see this being for you in the next 12, 18, 24, 36, 48, or 60 months? We say 60 months, it's 5 years. That's a car loan for most people. Most people, when they lease a car, they lease it for 5 years. They get 60 months of car payments. It's not a very long time. And so I encourage you to be asking yourself, do you have a 60-month goal? Do you have a 5-year goal of what you want this to be? Is there a 3-year plan? A 3-year plan, in my coaching world, that's 1,000 days. 1,000 days is not a very long time. At 50, I know that 3 years goes very quick. If you're a parent, you know that 3 years is going very quick. When you're in your 30s with no kids, you think 3 years is going to take forever. Trust me, it's not. What's your 3-year goal? And then ideally, what's the 1-year goal? What's that 1-year goal? What's that thing you want to create in 6 or 12 months? And we've all heard the stories of what people have created in 12 months in this business. We've heard the stories of Brian Marsh from $0 to $20,000 a month in 1 year. We've heard the stories of Adam and Kira Westwick from $0 to $40,000, 40, in 12 months. And then we have the other references too, where people go, holy smokes, I've been doing this a year and my check's still $500 a week. Juice Plus doesn't work for those as well. I would encourage you tonight, maybe in a public forum right here, to maybe let's start to put some hands up and say, what is your goal in the next 1 year or 3 years, knowing that as a coach and as a team that wants to hold everybody accountable, once you've publicly said out loud, and Karina's going to confirm for me that she's recording this call, this is your 1 year goal, this is your 3 year goal, this is your 5 year goal, that there's now a recording of that in captivity on that thing called the cloud. Or I don't know what the cloud is. I don't know how it gets up in the cloud, but apparently it's in the cloud. And that we can then hold you accountable to that. It says, okay, what is it you want to be doing? And when people say, I want to do this full time, I'm going to challenge you to say, what does that mean? What does that mean to do this full time? Does that mean you want to work it 40 hours a week? Because trust me, you can post for 40 hours a week. You can take, listen to videos and recordings for 40 hours a week. This is a business measured by numbers. That's what we want to hear. What is the income you want to earn in the next 1 year, 3 years, or 5 years? Is it 5 grand, 10 grand, 20 grand, or 50 grand, or 100 grand? I know when I first talked about getting this business almost 2.5 years ago, it took me a while to get in. I remember meeting with someone who you may have heard of, and Jeff Roberti. And I met Jeff Roberti, and my single question to him straight up, and it took him aback a little bit, was, Jeff, what do I have to do to build a $2 million business? What do I have to do to get a check of $165,000 a month? I already knew that $86,000 a month was $1 million. I wanted to know, what do I have to do to make $165,000 a month, which is near enough to about $2 million. He looked at me and went, he said, that's going to take a while. He goes, that might take you 5 years. Sure enough, that's what it takes to build a $2 million business. It takes 5 years. I said, great, I'm up for that. I'm 50. I've got 5 years in me. Giddy up. Let's go. And then we broke that down to a 3-year goal. We broke it down to a 1 year goal, and away we go. So I'd love to know what your numbers are. And then here's the thing about numbers. I say they're about numbers in terms of dollars. In the beginning, it is. For most people who get involved in this business, for you and the people you're bringing on board, this is about $500 a month, $1,000 a month, $3,000 a month, whether it's an NMD making $6,000 or $7,000 or $8,000 a month, the magical $10,000 a month, which means you're making 120 grand a year, and then the big numbers. Once you get safe financially, and safe financially for most people means that you're making something like $6,000 to $8,000 to $10,000 a month. That means you get to eat, you're safe. And inclusion into your vision then becomes about the size of the reach that you want to have. How many families do you want to have that have got mummy and daddy daycare? How many dads do you want to get out of their high-vis vests and out of their work boots and into their soccer gear so they can coach kids on the weekends? How many mums do you want to have be at home raising their children instead of daycare raising their children? How many marriages do you want to save because you've taken the financial pressure off them? So certainly you can measure that by saying, I want 1,000 people on my team or 5,000 people on my team. Certainly Kira and Adam never envisaged that they'd have 20,000 people in their team. That's extraordinary. Even here at Team Deliberate, we're moving towards 200 people in our team, which is extraordinary given what we've done. So we're super excited. So your vision. What's your vision? Do you have one? And if you don't, now would be a great time to get one. If you do have one, let's hear it. Let's hear it. I see some people typing in the boxes here, talking about the things they want to be able to do, which is kind of cool. Kathy said her 6-month goal is to free up from her one-on-one coaching business. Her 12-month goal is to help free 24 families. Kathy, when you say you want to free 24 families, is there some numbers attached to that? Does that mean you want to help 24 families earn a certain amount of money? You want to have them be earning $3,000, $5,000, $6,000 a month? Are there some numbers around that that's going to make that it's measurable to you? Kath, can you jump on and share some of what that vision looks like for you?
Yeah, definitely. So the vision really is to help families or to assist those families that need that extra $1,000 to $2,000 a month, just to give them some breathing space. Because I remember back in my past, when we were working and starting out in traditional business, having that extra couple of $1,000 coming in just meant that we could pay the bills, just meant that we could just have that extra so we can make some extra choices. So knowing how much that helped us in our family at that time when it was a little bit stressful, that is my goal.
I love it. I love that you've got that great goal. I love that you're a goal for you because, again, you're someone who's unusual, hasn't come into the business out of financial duress, but you've come out of the desire to build and serve other people. Somebody else, what's your goal? What do you want to earn in the next 3, 6, 9, 12 months? What's the 1-year goal? Ivano, perhaps I'm going to call on you and call you out loud, my friend, and say, Ivano and Debs, what's your goal to be earning and what time frame do you want to be earning that in, guys? Ivano and Debs, you're on.
Yeah, sorry, I miss you. By the end of the month, our goal is 10,000 a month. End of the year, yeah.
Yeah. Right. And that allows Deb, you haven't quit yet, but you're quitting soon, or you have quit?
I have 2 weeks to go. And then
wow. And then you're done.
Yeah.
And this is your full-time gig.
Yeah. Looking forward to it. I'm super excited. Can't wait.
Love it.
Yeah.
And when you say to yourself you want to make $10,000 a month, do you map out backwards what that looks like and what that means?
Yeah, yes and no. We are working on that.
Got it. Okay, well, we might be chatting about that. So I love that you've got that goal. And then do you have a bigger vision for this? Do you see something beyond that? Because where you guys live, $10,000 is not rich. $10,000 is just safe. What's the bigger vision beyond that?
It's, yeah, the number is not something that we thought about yet, but it's kind of, I love what I'm seeing from you and Adam, and being able to be that kind of figure back in Italy. It's my dream.
And Deb, for you?
I would say same thing. So being able to, well, I would like to be able to be a mom in addition to build a great business. And so the idea of being a stay-home mom is very, very appealing to me. Me and Ivano love travel as well, so we would love to travel, and yeah.
Great. You've just hit on exactly what I want to talk about tonight. Because sometimes, and you're all doing this, which is interesting, sometimes people have a challenge carving out and being able to articulate and say out loud what their vision is because they don't really know. And so I'm going to give you a way to do that right now. So pens and paper ready. And here's how you work out what your vision is if you're not sure what it is. It's real simple. In a year from now, or 3 years from now, or 5 years from now, so whatever goal you want to work on, here's all you want to do. And Karina will remember doing this. We did this here in this office. What you want to do is map down and go, okay, great. In a year from now, how do I want to be living? Do I want to be in this same house? If it's in this same house, great. What is the cost of living in this house each month? What's the mortgage or what's the rent? In a year from now, what car do I want to be driving? If I'm driving the same car, great. What's the monthly payment on that car? If I'd like a new car, what do I want that payment to be? Is it going to be $500 a month, which is a modest car? Is it going to be $1,000 a month, which is a nice-ish car? $1,000 a month gets you about a 60 grand car. Is it going to be $2,000 a month? That gets you about $120,000 or $150,000 car. What's the car payment you want to have? How much do you want to spend at the organic farmers market on a Sunday morning? I spend about $300 or $400 on a Sunday morning at the organic farmers market. We spend $50 just on cucumbers. My kids eat them like they're apples, for goodness sake. How much money do you want to spend on being able? How many bottles of how many packets of the Omega blend do you want to order? How many bags of chews for the kids do you want to order? How many supplements and great services do you want to be able to have for your body? Here's a great question for you. In 12 months' time, how much would you like to be spending each month on personal care? Would you like to have one chiropractic visit a month, 2 massages a month, one acupuncture a month, one physiotherapy session a month, and add up and go, hey, oh, that's $500 a month. I need $500 a month for personal care. If you're like us, we did a budget and said we want 20 hours a week of babysitting. Great, what that's going to cost. We wanted 20 hours a week of a cleaner. Great, what's that going to cost? We wanted to be able to buy Karina's mum a house. Great, what's that going to cost? What's the mortgage payment each month on a modest house for Karina's mum? And we started to jot all those numbers down, and we put them all on. In fact, we put them on the whiteboard in this room. That's a big whiteboard over there, just so you can see on the wall. We put them on the whiteboard in this room, And we said, how much do we want to travel? Deb mentioned she wants to travel. How much do you want to travel? Well, where do you want to go? If you want to go to Bali for a week, for our family to go to Bali for a week costs about 12 grand. For our family to go skiing for 10 days costs about 20 grand. For our family to go to Europe for a month costs about 45 grand. You should know what those things cost for you. And if you want to travel one time a year, put it on the board. You want to travel 2 times a year, put it on the board. You want to travel 3 times a year, put it on the board. How much charity would you like to do? Charity might be starting at home. As I said, we like to take care of our parents. So we take care of my mum, we take care of Karina's mum, we take care of our families. That's our charity work. If you have other charity you want to do, sponsor some kids in Africa, do some stuff at the local community, local football club, local church, how much do you want to give? $1,000, $5,000, $10,000? Put it on the board. And then I would add up all those numbers and go, here is my vision. My vision is I want to live like this, in this house, driving this car, traveling this often, buying these organic groceries, having these personal care experiences, massage, chiropractic, acupuncture, being able to afford these trips and holidays, being able to sit at this part of the bus, if you want to sit in the back of the bus, the middle of the bus, or the front of the bus, and to add all that up and go, holy smokes, that's going to cost me whatever it's going to cost you. That means I need $15,000 a month. That means I need $8,000 a month. That means I need $6,000 a month. And get excited about being able to measure with a number the vision for your life that you want. Say that again. Get excited about the number. Doesn't mean anything. If I say 5 grand a month, 8 grand a month, 10 grand a month, none of you know what that means. Me either. Until you map it out and go, okay, gosh, 12 grand a month means we could upgrade our house because our mortgage payment could be bigger, or we could upgrade our car because the payment would go from $600 a month to $1,200 a month. We could spend $500 a week on organic groceries and supplements. We could spend $200 a week at restaurants. We could spend $12,000 a year on traveling. That's 1 camping trip and 1 trip to Bali. Or we could spend $40,000 a year on traveling. That's 1 trip to Europe and 1 trip to Asia. We could spend this much on nannies, or this much on daycare, or this much on seminars. We spend $10,000 going to seminars, or $20,000 going to seminars. Add all that up, and then when you say, gosh, my vision is $6,000 or $8,000, your brain and your heart knows what that number means, because that number now is linked to a physical lifestyle. For most people, the first number you want to get to is what I call home base. Your vision should be, my vision is to tell my boss to take their job and shove it. That should be your first goal. Take your job and shove it. Now you might go, well, I've got my own business. Great. Tell yourself, tell your staff, we're shutting down. We're done with the stress and the stock and the business and the overwhelm. That should be your first vision. So when you say, gosh, we need $8,000 a month, we need $4,000 a month, we need $2,000 a month to bring hubby home from work or whatever the number happens to be, and get emotionally engaged. I love that. Kathy Phelan wrote a great sentence. Dear boss, I have an eye problem. I don't see myself coming in anymore. And so when I see that, when you know what the number means, not just a random number, don't just write down numbers and go 3 grand, 5 grand, 8 grand, 10 grand, 12 grand. People go, oh, Brian Marsh made 20 grand. I want to make 20 grand. Adam's making $1 million. I want to make $1 million. What does that mean? What does that look like? And Adam will tell you, if he was on this call tonight, he'd tell you, when he got to me, their goal originally was to get to $1 million. That's 86 grand a month. When he got there, he's like, oh my God, we're there. And then when I explained to him how much money he needed to make to buy the home he wanted to buy, he was like, oh, that's a very different goal now. So he now has got great clarity on what he wants. He wants to buy his family a multi-million dollar home. He knows that's what's going to mean now. So when he does the math in his head and the numbers in his head, it comes up as a number, but it's linked to a picture of his family living in that house near that beach, and they all get to walk every morning and do some cool stuff. Now, the reason this is important, it's important for you and I to have clarity on the vision. It's important to have clarity on what that number means, the vision of that number means in terms of lifestyle, because when you're in the small picture stuff of PMs, getting ready for 8-week shreds, customer orders, product that didn't get delivered properly, people not responding, people not coming back onto you on your videos or your links you sent to them, someone saying yes, 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 and then saying no. when you get in that level of the game, you can get distracted. You can get off track. You can get downhearted. You get beaten up. You can get a little bit knocked around like a pinball, that silver pinball inside the pinball machine. And I'm telling you, and those people who've done this work before will agree with me, when you got a vision, when you know with absolute certainty and clarity why you're doing this and where you're headed. I'm headed to that point. I can tell you where we're headed. I know the numbers. My wife knows the numbers, and we know what it means. We know what we get rid of when we get to that number. We know what freedom that brings us. We know what we're going to do with that money. We know where it's going. We know all that shit. And so that's why we get excited about, well, that means we're going to do this many calls and this many meetings and share this many families and get this many links, do that many reach outs. And having that vision allows us, when it's 7:30, 8:30, 9:30, 10:30 at night, or as this morning I did my first call at 7:30 this morning while my kid was at surfing lessons, we know why we're doing the posting. We know why we're doing the three-way. We know why we're doing all those things, because we've got a vision for what this is going to feel like, what it's going to look like, what it's going to taste like, to eat that meal on the beach in Thailand, to drink that wine from a yacht in the Greek Isles, to share that meal with that family at a white Christmas in Austria. We've got a vision for what it's going to look like and feel like and taste like. And if you can do that, holy smokes, the game will change. It'll change for you. And here is the second most important bit. If you can get your people to have a vision, if you can get your people to have a vision from the very beginning of what could this be. Now, is the vision going to change? Of course. The vision when they first get in will be to get to that $1,000 or $2,000 a month mark. For some people, it'll be $3,000 a month, but something like that. But if you can get them from day one to lift their eyes off launching and lift their eyes off 5 PMs a day and lift their eyes off that just for a little bit, to go, gosh, in 12 months' time, what could this be? And what would that mean to my job, to my family, to my parenting, to my marriage, to my travel, to my contribution, to just the quality of food that I eat, to the absence of stress and worry because I don't go to work anymore. You know, it's interesting. My kids and I were driving home. We had a late swimming lesson this week. We're driving home at 6:15 from swimming lessons. Now, I don't drive at 6:15. If you know me, I don't drive at the best of times. I'm sort of not going to drive in peak hour. We're driving home at 6:15. We're all in our speedos by towel. I swam too. The kids had their lessons. We drove home, and my kid's wisdom said, Dad, he said, why is it so busy? Why are there so many cars on the road? I said, look in the car windows. What do you see? He said, they've all got work clothes on. I said, what do you mean? He goes, they've all got shirts and suits on, Dad. You don't wear those. They've all got dresses on there. I said, well, what do you think they're doing? He said, they're probably coming home from work. I said, that's right. That's what they're doing at 6:15. They're all coming home from work. That's why the roads were busy. I said, this is not, so your dad doesn't live like that. I'm in shorts right now. There's a bit of skin. I apologize. But I'm in shorts every day. You want to ask yourself, how do I want my life to be? What groceries do I want to eat? What car do I want to drive? What holidays do I want to have? How much is that going to cost? And you might go, I don't know. Well, I would say work it out. And the starting point is just to go, what does my life cost right now? The apartment I live in, the car that I drive, the groceries I spend, the holidays I want to have, add it up, divided by 12, that's the monthly number. And then once you've got that monthly number, we'll do another chat. Adam's done it before. We can do it again next week. Great. I need $6,000 a month. That's my vision. I need $8,000 a month. That's my vision. We then just work backwards. What does that mean? Is that 50 club? Is that 32 club? Is that 12 club? Is that NMD? Is that a good, healthy SSC with a dozen customers? What is the number that's going to bring me that $5,000, $6,000, $8,000, $9,000, $10,000, $12,000 a month? And if you get that, great. So great. Sally's saying she did it this morning. She came up with what that number is. It's $25,000 for her, which is great. What's that number? And if you get your people to do this, this is why it's important. When you've done something yourself, I can only sit here so passionately and congruently and share this with you tonight because, trust me, I fucking know what the number is and I know what it means. Not the number, I could care less about it, but I know what it relates to. I know what flights cost. I know what cars cost. I know what holidays cost. I know what contribution costs. I know how I want to live. You ask my wife, anywhere I go, I'm drawing numbers. I'll get in the shower and have a hot shower just so the glass fogs up so I can write numbers on the glass. I've got a napkin at a restaurant in between the second meal and the third meal coming, the main course, the entree. I'm doing numbers on a napkin because I'm thinking, not because I care about numbers. Numbers mean something to me. They mean more holidays. They mean a bigger boat. They mean more family coming to stay with me. They mean more security for the people I want to take care of. You got to measure that, because then we take those numbers, turn them into action. And action means, great, you want to be $5,000 a month? Great. Here's what you need to do. You don't need to do 5 PMs a day. You need to do 15 PMs a day. You need to do 20 PMs a day. The actions are just simply linked to the goal that you want to create and the vision that you have for what this could be. And it's great to have a 5-year vision, a 3-year vision, and you should certainly be having a 1-year vision. And yes, Karina's laughing. She said, yes, that's exactly how I manifested having our children. I had a vision for what I wanted that to look like. I will say I had a vision and I wrote it down. True story. This shit works, man. I wrote down before I even knew Karina. I wrote down before I even knew Karina. Some of you heard the story. I wrote down I wanted to get married at 40. I got married 4 months before I was 40. Is that right? I said I wanted to have my first kid at 40. Had my first kid a month before I was 40. So I wanted my second kid at 42. I had my second kid exactly at 42. So I wanted my third kid at 44. Had my third kid about 5 months after I was 44. Wanted my fourth kid at 46. Had my fourth kid right when I was about 46. Now, I did say I wanted to have a fifth kid at 48. When Karina found that out, she made me do a reverse goal-setting process and take that goal off the list. So I had to undo that goal and undo that vision. But all that stuff works. So here's your homework. I'm going to give you homework. We're not going to end the call yet because I've got something I want to do. But my homework would be, I want to see posted on the Team Deliberate page, what's your 1-year goal? What's your 1-year vision? And maybe a bigger vision, either 3 or 5. And what does that look like? So when you say, I want my car, my house, my boat, my mortgage, my horse, my goldfish, if you've got alimony payments, whatever it is, what does that translate to? And that, so tell me all the things you want to do, like Stephen just said. So I want to, this year he wants to get himself out of debt, buy a car, look after my family a lot more than I already am. I want to know what those numbers mean. When you say, I want to look after my family better, I love that, Stephen, but it's not enough. What does that mean? I want to spend, what does lavishly mean? It's not enough. Lavisham's not an answer. I need to know, what does that mean? Does that mean I'll give you an example. We had takeaway on Sunday night, babe. Is that right? Sunday night? I know that in our family, to have takeaway, it costs $100 to $120. That's what it costs to feed us. When we had the vegan dumpling shop Chinese meal, it's $120. If we go to the Indian shop, it's about $180. That's what it costs. If we have sushi for lunch, sushi train costs us about $85, $95. So if I say, great, I want my kids to eat out once a week, I know that's $5,000. If I say I want my kids to go away to Bali every Easter, I know that's $10,000 to $12,000. If I say I want my wife to have a cleaner 4 hours a day, 5 days a week, I know that's $450. And so I know what all those numbers are, and that's how it's measurable. When Karina and I first got a cleaner, I said I want to take care of my wife and lavish my wife's team. So I lavished her with 8 hours of cleaning a week. We had 9. We had 3 hours on Monday and 3 on Wednesday and 3 on Friday. It's all I could afford. But then we went to 4 hours, 3 hours a week. And then we went to 3 hours, 5 days a week. And then 4 hours, 5 days a week. And then we got a nanny coming in 20 hours a week as well. You've got to know the numbers and what the numbers mean. And then we just relate the numbers back to action. So exercise is simple. Tell me what you want. And if you don't know what it's going to cost, go work it out. Now, you may say, but Scott, I don't work those things out. But here's my wish to you. All of us have got a dream or a vision of a new car, a new house, a new boat, some contribution. I would say this to you. If you don't know what your dream house, dream car, dream boat, dream holiday, dream contribution project costs, if you haven't paid enough respect or time or intensity to at least finding out, what does a nice secondhand Porsche Cayenne cost? What does it cost? If you don't know the difference between a business class ticket, a premium economy ticket, and an economy ticket to Disneyland costs, You haven't really thought about taking your family to Disneyland. If you don't know what it costs to line up in the premium line at Harry Potter World and the regular line at Harry Potter World, you haven't really done the math on taking your family to Harry Potter World. And I think that when you do that, I don't mean daydream, I don't mean spend 8 hours a day there, but if you've got something you're excited about, I think there's a lot of power in being able to sit down and do the math and say to the world and the universe and God above, not only do I want this, not only would that be nice, not only would that make me feel good, I'm going to prove to you I want it by investing my time and energy and focusing on it right now so that I've got very clear parameters on what that's going to look like, feel like, cost, and sound. And now, because we're part of this great community, I've now got this great team that can help coach me onto taking the very specific actions I need to get to that specific thing. It's real simple. Decide what you want. Decide what it costs. If you don't know, ask somebody. Break the costs down into actions. Do the fucking work. Apologize for the language. Do the work. But then when you're doing the work, you know why you're doing it. You know why you're doing it. You're doing it to get the organic groceries. My wife says to me so regularly, she says, babe, I so love being able to shop at the organic markets and shop at the organic. We have an organic grocery catalog where we get, coconut oil and the healthy shampoo and all the healthy good stuff. Costs a fortune. She said, I love the freedom of being able to shop in the healthy catalog and shop at the organic grocery market store and never worry about whether I'm spending $300 or $500 or $800. That's freedom. And my wife's car is 10 years old. She can give a shit. But she loves the freedom of being able to buy all the organic, healthy shampoo and cream and moisturizer and products for our family home and dry goods and organic produce and so on. She loves, that's freedom. But we know what that costs. I track that. I measure that. And that's your job too. And if you do it for yourself, it'll be so easy for your peeps to do it as well. I remember when I first said I wanted to buy my mum a house. Raise your hand if one of your goals, of all things you'd like to be able to do, is one day buy your mum, your uncle, your grandmother, someone you love, buy someone you love who's worked for you, who'd like to buy them a house in some way, shape, or form. Would you like to do that? A couple of you? Great. It's the coolest thing on earth. Corinne and I have done it twice for both parents. And when you do it, when I first did it, when you say, I want to buy my mum a house, you're like, your brain doesn't even know what that means. When you break down the math, when I broke down the math, I'm like, okay, well, what would that cost? Where would she like to live? I had to go and ask her. I was surprised by the answer. When she told me where she wanted to live, I went and did the research, worked out what that would cost. When I worked out the deposit and then I worked out the monthly payment, I went, oh, now that I can see the monthly payment, something that used to be this big, crazy thing actually became quite tangible and real because it was right in front of me. And then we worked towards it. And in less than a year and a half, we took something that was a crazy idea called Buy My Mum a House. We did not have the money, my wife will tell you. And we went out and made it happen. And I'd say the same thing too. I think Michelle who's saying she's got her eye on a new car. But you need to know, what does that car cost to buy it secondhand or to buy it new? And what are the repayments on that? Would you pay it off in full? Would you pay it off monthly? And how many new clients would you need to make the monthly payment? How many people in your team would you have need to go 3 club or 8 club or 12 club for you to be able to afford the monthly payments on that car? Knowing, and here's what happens. Here's what happens. Hear me now. Believe me later. Poor people financially and poor people emotionally think that when they get something cool like a red Ferrari or a big boat, they think that thing's going to make them happy because they're stupid. Wealthy people know that when you get the red Ferrari, when you get the boat, when you buy your mum a house, the coolest thing about those physical things is, yes, they're nice to drive, and yes, they're nice to play in, and yes, they're nice to share, but the coolest thing about them is that every time you see them, every time you use them, you're reminded of who you had to become to make that thing become real. You're reminded of how you had to grow and how you had to get over yourself and move through your BS to make that thing real. And that physical thing simply becomes a reminder of the journey and the growth that you've had. And that is where the magic of the physical thing is. When people say to me, oh, I don't need any stuff, I don't need a boat or a car or a house or diamonds, I'm like, shame on you, because the thing is either to be shared with your family and friends that's the point of having stuff. Or it's to be able to then go be a physical reminder of the cool, amazing things that you've done. And I think when you've got people a vision, and when you've got a vision, when you get objections like, I can't afford to come to conference, or I can't afford to get all 3 products, I can only afford to get the fruit and the veg, I can't afford the berries and the oils and 120 shakes. When you've got objections about it's not the right time, or I'm too busy, or I haven't had time to do my PMs, so I can't get to training. When you get objections, anybody that gives you an objection doesn't have a vision. Anybody that has objections, time, money, logistics, opportunity, other things, my dog ate my homework, my goldfish was sick, doesn't have a vision. If you have a crystal clear vision, I know some of you think I'm ranting tonight. I know some of you thinking, he's really talking about a lot of work. I'm really not. But if people have a vision about what this could be, if people have a vision for what this will look like and feel like in their day-to-day existence, they won't be objectionable. They won't get caught up in hurdles called haven't got the time, haven't got the money, can't go now, can't get the product, blah, 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 blah. When you know what has to happen for you to create the life that you want, the actual physical life, not with, listen, I like beautiful, fluffy language, but what's the real reality of that? What does it cost to live in the house you want to live in? What does it cost to drive the boat you want to drive? What does it cost to go eat the sushi you want to go and eat, or drink the champagne you want to drink? How much does it cost to buy your mum a house or do charity at the local football club? When you know that shit and you know the actual number, your brain goes, oh, fuck, this is going to real. This is going to be real. We need $8,000 a month. If you're going to leave your marriage, you need to know what the fuck is that going to cost me? Great. To leave my marriage, I need $15,000 in the bank, or $6,000 a month in a check, or I need to work out, well, where am I going to live? Okay, well, what does it cost to rent an apartment or a house? Great, it's going to cost me $500 a week. Great, I need that. I don't care what it is you want. Vision it, feel it, dream it, and then start to ask yourself, okay, great. What's that going to cost? And once you know the cost, then we just do the work. We'll get Adam on next week, maybe, and chat about the numbers then. What are the numbers of that look like? What does somebody earn? We've done it before. We'll do it again. What do you earn at 3 club? What do you earn at 9 club? What do you earn at, 8 club? What do you earn at 12 club? What do you earn at 24 club? What do you earn at 50 club? So that you know, great, okay, well, now I've got some real parameters. And then the challenge was, and this is the challenge, is once you know your vision, once you know the cost associated to your vision, once you know the actions associated to the values and the dollars, the only X factor left, boys and girls, is can you do the work? Will you do the work? That's it. That's the only X factor. Will you do the work that equals the numbers that gets you what you said you want? Will you do the work that gets you the numbers that pays for what you said you want? The house that you said you wanted, the job, the job you wanted to quit, the contribution you wanted to give, the travel you wanted to have. It's all measurable. It's all trackable and all measurable. Now, one caveat to this, and stop me because I'm going too crazy, but the last one I'll say is this. You don't do this all day, every day. You do this one time. You spend a weekend doing it. It's a long weekend in Queensland. It's some homework tonight. You do this once. You do it once for 6 months or 12 months. And once you've done it once for 6 or 12 months, you come up with a number. And for most of you, I'm telling you right now, that number's going to be somewhere between $6,000 and $8,000 a month. It might only be even $4,000 a month. Once you do it, get to work. Get to work. And as you get close to that goal, when you get it, pop some champagne, celebrate, high five, weekend in Bali, and then you say, great, 2 really important questions. What's next? What's next? What's the next vision for me? Because I promise you, whatever your vision is now, as you keep growing, in a year's time, the vision will be here. When you get there, the vision will be here. And whether it's a bigger boat or a bigger house or a bigger car, whether it's more travel or a better seat on the plane, whether it's more contribution and giving back more and more and more, I promise you the vision will always grow as you keep growing. So with that, I'm going to wrap that baby up there. I know there was a couple of questions about objections and about challenges with people not having the time and the money and the logistics to get to conference. But I would really say if they've got a vision, trust me, whether you read the Bible, great book. That's why they call it the good book. Without a vision, people perish. Without a vision for what this business will give people, they won't perish. They'll just get distracted. They'll just fall away. If they haven't got a vision, if you don't know why you're building this, who it's for, what it means, what it's going to give you, numbers only mean something if they're linked to an experience. An experience is a seat on a plane, the coldness of the champagne, the joy on the smile of someone's face when you give them a home, the joy in your family's face when you take your kids to Harry Potter World and your 8 and 10-year-old say to you, Dad, I feel like I'm in heaven. This is the greatest day of my life. You can put a price on that. You can put a price on that. It was $4,500 for the day. It was $4,500 a day for all of us to have VIP platinum tickets for the day, for my kids to look me in the eyes and say, Dad, I feel like I'm in heaven. This is the greatest day of my life. Go do the math. Go do the numbers. So with that, I'm going to just open up and see if anybody wants to have any quick shares or comments or thoughts at all you want to share. In shape or form. My wife stopped me from talking any further. Go. Open frame. I stunned them all into silence.
Scott, I just wanted to say thank you because I know that this is something that I've struggled with a lot just recently, but it all came back to my self-belief in could I actually make this happen? So I was quite afraid of writing down those really big numbers because it was just my brain saying, oh my gosh, like that's just way too far out. But what I found myself doing was just having a number in my mind and in a time frame that was kind of hairy and audacious for me, but I know is still possible as well.
And do you know what that number means, Kathy? Like, what does it relate to? Like, what are you doing with that number?
Yeah, absolutely. That $50,000 a month number is something that it's like, oh my gosh, that's just crazy. But I know it's so achievable in a period of time because we have a system that we can leverage. And I know that I can't do that by myself. So it's going to take a bigger cause and a reason and a passion and a drive to achieve that. And that's what I'm really excited about.
Great. I love it. Thanks for sharing, my love. I appreciate it. So again, homework. Publicly post what do you want to create in the next either 12 months. 12 months is a great goal. And then the second goal might be 3 years or 5 years. And for most of you, it's really easy to do that because your first 12 months goal, for most of you, as I said jokingly, should be to tell your boss to take their job and shove it. And if you could do that, for most of you, that's $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 a month, or maybe $3,000 or $4,000 a month. That should be your first goal. And that means in your brain, you know, gosh, if I'm making $4,000 a month, or maybe you're not quitting at $4,000 a month. Maybe you're going at $4,000 a month, I'm upgrading my car and getting a big apartment. Or $4,000 a month, maybe saying I'm booking my mum and dad to go back to Italy or back to Greece for the first time in their entire lives. I'll tell you what, I remember when I had no money, sending Karina's mum back to Europe for the first time in 30 years. She moved here from Europe 30 years ago to give her kids a better life, and she was told her whole life by her husband, I promise we'll go back, I promise we'll go back, I promise we'll go back. Of course, not because he's a bad guy, they just got caught up with school and bills and work. They never went back, and he passed away. And I remember saying to her, Keiko, for your birthday, I'm sending you back to Europe. You go wherever you want. Wherever you want. And we went on a 6-week trip and we went to every major city in Europe, all the obvious ones. We went to Venice and Vienna and we went to Rome and Paris and all the obvious ones. And it was just a joy and a delight to see this 60-year-old woman do something she'd been dreaming of for 30 years that she never thought was going to happen. And all it had was a price. And we decided to do the work to make the price happen, to give her the experience. And now that it's happened, the experience and the memories are priceless. Priceless. So I don't care if you're quitting your job. I don't care if you're bringing your husband home from work. I don't care if you're buying a new car. I don't care if you're taking care of your mum and dad. I don't care if you're buying yourself a boat. Trust me, I fucking know the math to buy a new boat. All right, that. I'm happy to save the world, but I also know the math to buying a new boat as well. I like both. So whatever it is for you, Go make it happen. Let's see some big public declarations, and then we'll get Adam on in the next week to chat about, well, what's that going to take? What does it take to get to $4,000 a month? What's it take to get to $6,000 a month? What does it take to get to $8,000 a month and get some of these visions to be real? So with that, a boat, there's no answer to that question, Michelle. The numbers just keep getting bigger. With that, we appreciate you. We love you. Start of a brand new month, start of a brand new opportunity to do awesome, amazing, incredible stuff. So super duper excited about what is ahead for the rest of the month. So all crazy stuff. I don't know how to unmute you all. I guess my wife does that. My wife, do you unmute everybody and so we all say good night?
1 second.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Sorry. Thanks, Marina.
Thanks, Scott.
Good night, everyone.
Thanks, Scotty. Night, everyone. Dream big, guys.
I'm excited to see your posts.
Oh, even Thor says good night.
Night, Thor.
He has to get on in the action. He has to be the star. Sorry. Good night, guys.
Good night.
Get Jenny out of me.